My name is Saviksha.
My name is Poppy.
It's me, your favorite queen, Francesca Dynamite.
We are Louder Club, and you're watching Queer in Alberta.
Welcome back to another episode of Queer in Alberta, the podcast where I chat with 2S LGBTQIA+ Albertans to share their stories. For those of you that don't know me, my name is Kels. I use she, her pronouns, and I'm a queer Filipino-Canadian. And I reside here on Treaty 7 territory in the city of Lethbridge, Alberta, home to the Blackfoot Confederacy, as well as the Métis Nation, Region number 3 of Alberta. Now, you might notice a few things are different. First of all, my hair is gone. Thank you. I accept the applause. Thank you, thank you. We are filming in the home studio today, as you can see. But why are we here today? Okay, so the episode, we ended up having some technical difficulties, and we really were like, how can we turn this around? Because the episode beyond, like after all of those issues, is so good. We ended up doing a trip to Edmonton to not only fix that footage and re-record in person, but I managed to get some amazing B-roll thanks to my friend Eric Janvier, who shot this drag brunch that we attended with not only our interviewee, but a few other drag queens and kings from the city of Edmonton. And obviously I'm biased because I've really come into my own and my queerness here in Southern Alberta. I've got to know the community and a lot of drag performers in Lethbridge and Calgary. But divas, I don't know what is in the water in Edmonton. There is something fierce with their drag community. It is so stunning, so sharp and on point, and very, very welcoming and kind. I was so pleased not to only showcase our interviewee, but to get to meet a few other performers and hopefully future guests on the show. We really made the most of it, and like I said, this performer, her energy, her heart shines through in everything that she does, but especially in this interview with me. I am so pleased to introduce you to my friend, the one, the only, LaDonna Stone, the bearded queen of Yeg.
Hi, my name is LaDonna Stone. And you are watching Queer in Alberta. I am Edmonton's premier Italian bearded baddie. My pronouns are she, they, in drag, and he, they, out of drag. And out of drag, I go by Luigi. I started drag about 4 years ago here in Edmonton, and I did my first little show at a little dive strip club, and from there it just picked up and it never stopped. The drag in Edmonton is extremely supportive, extremely diverse. Everybody has their own niche that they fit, and there's no really overlapping. Everybody is just so different and super talented. My favorite thing about the drag scene here is that we are a community. Edmonton, we feel the love, we all support each other, and at the end of the day, that's what drag is about. It's about coming together and meeting people where they're at and just enjoying queer expression. 3 main ground rules of a drag show. So like simple rules, okay? You're gonna make lots of noise. You're gonna give us all the energy because we are like Tinkerbell. If we don't have that energy, we will just like shrivel up. So lots of noise. Drag is super expensive. I didn't just pick up this sequin off the street. It is very expensive. So tip your drag performers. And like last but not least, just remember consent. We will not touch you and you don't have to touch us, but we can have a mutually understanding about a good time and enjoy ourselves. So my biggest advice would be to stand your ground, be true to who you are, and don't let anybody tell you different, because if I let anybody tell me different, LaDonna Stone would not be here. Enjoy it, have fun. Life is about having fun. Life is way too short to be worrying about the small stuff. Love you.
Me a little bit. So you've been doing drag for 4 years. You're taking a lot of folks and helping them start their own drag careers. How did this begin for you? How did you become LaDonna Stone?
So I think my initial want to be on a stage was when I started at 4 years old as an Italian folk dancer.
I think I heard about this on a different podcast you did.
Yeah, it's quite crazy. I danced for 18 years of my life with like the same people. It's really crazy because what that was me portraying cultural stories through performative art. And we would get all dressed up in these beautiful ordained costumes and tell stories through dance. So in a lot of ways, I was already kind of doing what at the core of what drag is. I was doing drag in my eyes.
Mm-hmm.
But then I actually discovered what drag was and then realized that drag is just that same thing. You are like portraying a story of your culture through a performative art. But this is just queer culture and queer experiences rather than where you're from. I just wanted to tell stories through another way of performative art. And I was always like into like makeup and hair. I was like doing makeup at like 3 a.m. in my parents' house, like nobody knew. Honestly, I had like a drawer of makeup and I'm sure my mom had seen it, but we just kept it quiet. Nobody said anything.
Moms know everything.
Yeah, but that's why I kept my beard. At first, it was like a shield for me because in my mind, I was like, if I keep my beard, they're not going to really realize that I'm doing like what I thought was drag being female impersonation. They weren't going to think that I was doing female impersonation. But then once I started getting out into the drag scene and seeing that there's so many different styles of drag, it just became my persona to always keep my beard.
Mm-hmm. And I think it makes
So
you
what was
really iconic and recognizable in the drag scene in Edmonton that you have this beard, this look. I think it's awesome.
Thank you. Yeah, there was not really a like set bearded queen 24/7 in the drag scene when I first started.
Mm-hmm.
So it was kind of like a market that I was like, I can go into this. Like, it's just what I know. It's what I've been doing, and nobody else is really doing it. So
Yeah, and it sounds like you say it started off as maybe kind of a way to start getting into drag and maybe ease into it, and now you've totally made it your own and something that's very iconic again to your image and your persona.
totally, it's been a wild ride
Do you think you would
because
ever
a lot of
shave the
people.
beard?
Oh, okay. So this is really funny. My beard is like really short right now because for Halloween I actually got into full no beard drag,
How was it?
which was a trip because I hadn't shaved my beard in like 3 years.
Mm-hmm.
I like shocked myself. I was like, who is that? Doesn't really look like me.
I mean, I think I had the opposite when I did paint a beard onto my face when I did like the drag king thing for the first time. And it was so much fun, but also like encountering this new person. And you know, when we're talking about the drag scene here in Edmonton and about your own performance, when we first connected for this interview, something you had mentioned you wanted to touch on was a shift in the drag scene as you described it, about perhaps the importance of queer spaces, of them being booked. Can you maybe go a bit more into that and describe that for me?
Totally. So after the pandemic, we were doing basically a lot of like outdoor shows and just shows kind of wherever would take us. And they were like really small. So coming back after the pandemic was really, really hard getting into spaces. But now it's been so different. There has been drag all over the city. It is so insane. You can pick a weekend and there'll be a drag run for you to go to, and then a show in the evening for you to go to. But the thing is, here in Edmonton, is that we only have one queer gay bar.
Yes, Evo, right?
Yeah, Evolution Winter Lounge. They really support us by having drag every single week. Like they have performers booked every single week. But in a city like ours, you would just that there would be a little bit more. It has gone so much better, but there can always be more queer space.
Oh, yeah, I totally agree. And I think that what you're touching on, it's not even an isolated incident to Edmonton. If you even look in Calgary, I remember seeing news articles in the last year about how these staple queer spaces are starting to close or shutter their doors. And I think maybe people from outside of our community might not understand why it's important for us to still have access to those spaces. What would you maybe say about why we need to have queer spaces that we can go in, that we can celebrate and be seen?
I think that right now what we're going through is a little bit of a transition state. I think that it's really lovely because I feel like a lot of the community doesn't feel like they necessarily have to stay or go to a gay bar specifically because it is much more widely accepted and you can go wherever now. You don't have to be very hidden, secluded. But the thing about having queer spaces is about community. It's about coming together as one, accepting for people for who they are, where they're at, no limitations, you know?
Following you on Instagram and watching you move from not just hosting at Evo, but you went to Toronto kind of recently, didn't you? And got to perform over there.
Yeah, it was really, really cool. Selena Biles, who's another amazing bearded performer in Toronto, just reached out to me and said, I want to have you in my drag brunch. And I was like, okay, Betsy, let's do it. If we don't book it now, I'm not coming. So let's do it right now.
Oh man, and like immediately I have a question for you there because even again, I feel like one of the biggest mainstream representations of drag in today's world is RuPaul's Drag Race and all the different iterations of it. But I watched a few seasons of Canada's Drag Race, and it always seems like we have maybe one queen from the prairies, all these queens from the big city in Toronto or Vancouver, and they have these ideas about what prairie drag is. Did you find that you maybe surprised some people, or like how was it representing the prairies in the big city?
Honestly, I was welcomed wholeheartedly. It was such an amazing experience. All the performers that I talked to were so, so lovely. It just made me feel so welcome. But yeah, maybe I did suck a couple people. I hope so. My weight did fall off once, so maybe that did give the idea that prairie drag doesn't isn't together. But it happens at least once every 3 months.
I would
Drag in the
think.
prairies is amazing, and people don't realize that there's so much diversity here. There
Mhm.
is a plethora of performers, like so many performers. I think in like a couple years ago, they like audited how many drag performers were actually booked in Edmonton through a booking organization, and it was like around like 175 drag performers, close to
Are you
200 performers
serious?
in Edmonton, Alberta, just Edmonton. That is not
That's
including
wild.
the surrounding areas. Like it's so insane that people just don't give us a time of day. But I will say they did just announce the new Canada's Drag Race promotion for the new season.
I think I
And
know.
we do have a good sister from Edmonton on Canada's Drag Race this year. So, like, we
Screeching.
are screaming, we are dying. Like, I could not believe it. I am just so happy. Melinda Verga, baby, if you're listening to this, you are an icon. And we are team Melinda. Oh, can I swear?
I will have to bleep that out. I'm so
Okay,
sorry.
I'm so sorry.
But you
I'm
know,
so
it's
sorry.
fierce. It's fierce.
But yes, I am so proud of Melinda. She's just
Mhm.
gonna slay. I can't wait to see her.
Am I right? Because I've never seen her perform, but so many of my fellow like Filipino Canadians who are also queer are posting about this season because she's also
Yeah, she's Filipina. She's
yeah.
literally like a powerhouse performer. That girl can do everything. She sings, she dances, she sews, she's funny, she's charming. Like it's everything. It's like the full package. It's
I love it.
insane.
And like obviously I'm biased because I'm like, as a cultural precedent, this is what we do.
Yeah, it's gonna be so killer. And I just know, like, as a community, like we are just so proud of her. Like we just
Mhm.
cannot wait for all the good things coming to her. And hopefully to more drag performers in Edmonton.
I hope so. And I mean, like, it
Yeah.
makes me think about just the way you're describing it. It sounds like the community in Edmonton is really close knit and like a family a little bit.
Yeah, we definitely do have a closer knit drag community, I would say, than any city I've been to.
Ooh.
Considering that our drag scene is so big, I think that we come together because we only have one queer space, is that we all kind of come together and join as one at
Mhm.
Evo, which is really, really nice. You get to talk to everybody, you get to like meet everybody. Not to say that there isn't little tiffs here and there because it is
Right. It's a
a drag
family.
scene. It's a family, and you fight with your family sometimes. But
Yep.
you know, I personally speaking, I wouldn't change it for the world. It's so amazing.
And you know, LaDonna, I'm just so struck though that Edmonton is the capital city here in Alberta, and there's only that one queer space. We were talking a bit earlier about places closing, but even in your time in the scene, has it always just been Evo, or were there more places recently?
So it has always just been Evo since I have been of age. Before my time, there was
hmm
Buddies and Flash. And I think that they were open at the same time. But since I've been of age, it has just been Evolution Wonder Lounge here in Edmonton.
hmm
But I think that above like just one queer space, I think I want to bring up the fact that we literally don't have a pride parade here in Edmonton.
Yes. And when we were again first chatting and thinking about what this podcast together would look like today, you mentioned that. And I was also in disbelief again. Because being in the South, we're not that far away, but I feel like it's easy to not know all the ins and outs of the queer community in Edmonton just because I'm separate from it. And it was like, what, 8 years before you guys had a Pride Festival again in 2022?
Yeah, well, we just didn't have we don't have a pride board to put on like a pride parade. So there's no
Yeah.
like actual organization who does pride events. What we do have is like a bunch of party promoters and event promoters who will put on pride events. So we do get that sense of pride in June. But we don't have like a pride parade that people and like kids can go to and like
Hmm.
families can go to and like young queer people who have not been exposed to the queer community yet, people who are finding themselves. Like my first
Yes.
time going to a pride parade, I was, I think, 16 years old, and it changed me,
Hmm.
like to just go somewhere and see pride being celebrated and queerness being celebrated. I was 16 years old and I was crying on the side of the street because it touched me so
Oh,
much. So
yeah.
it's really tough to be in a city where drag is so prevalent, but then yet we don't even have like a pride parade. It's like, what is going
Hmm.
on? What kind
Hmm.
of capital city do we live in, Diva? Calgary.
I mean,
Calgary has a pride parade.
that's tea. That is tea. And, I think it also opens up a broader conversation about, again, how people from outside of the community may not necessarily understand that even pride itself can be a bit of a contentious thing amongst different groups in our community. Like, I was just even reading about why there was not a parade in the first place in Edmonton. And this would have been in like 2016, 2017, right?
Yeah,
Yeah, and it was because of, I think, a couple different orgs advocating that they did not feel Edmonton Pride and the parade itself was really addressing the needs of marginalized folks and racialized folks. So there's all these different intersections and layers that go into pride that maybe from the outside people aren't even aware of.
totally. And there's so much work to be done. I
Hmm.
like me being one person, I can't make all those changes. I'm not the one
Yes.
to run an organization like that. I
Hmm.
I just want to be included at the end. But it's very important that we have people in these positions that are planning these events that um, look out for all people of our community, making sure that
Yes.
everybody is comfortable and everybody is included.
Hmm.
But I don't know who that is. We have amazing community leaders here in Edmonton that have put on amazing queer events that are from our city and that give back to our city. But again, like I said, there could be so much more done, so much more.
Hmm. Oh, absolutely. And I think it's also a kind of an invitation for listeners and even ourselves in this conversation to educate yourself. And what I mean by that is it's important that, yes, we have that moment to celebrate and be seen, but remember fundamentally, pride is a protest.
Pride
And
is
that
a
is
protest,
there you
baby.
go. It is.
Yes,
And that's the way it started. That's the way it still is, especially in today's world. And so, yeah, there's so much more to pride than just showing up in rainbows. There's all these other layers to it.
totally. It's about being proud regardless of what
Hmm.
other people say and think. Like
Hmm.
I live in Edmonton. I'm very grateful to live in Edmonton. I haven't had a really too rough of a run of it here in Edmonton as a queer person. But you do have those situations where you're just walking down the street and somebody will scream a profanity at you. And I'm not even in drag. I am just walking down the street in my normal
Hmm.
clothes, and people in the broad daylight have been driving by and like scream things at me. So it's for that reason that we need to come together and realize that, we're protesting our rights. I am a human being.
Yes.
I don't deserve that. I'm walking down the street. I am strutting my stuff. I will
Hmm.
sway my hips side to side as much as I want, listening to my drag mixes on my headphones.
I
Okay.
love it.
And I
Flames in
want to
her
be left
steps.
alone. Yeah.
Yeah. And I think too, like, it makes sense to me as well why you would maybe want to see the Pride Parade again in Edmonton. We're in a shifting world with the conversation surrounding drag, surrounding queerness, with things we're seeing in the United States, in particular with legislation that's targeting our community. It's
Girl,
important that we are visible.
they're rotted. They're they're rotted down there. They are just trying to distract. They are trying to actually attack our community. It is completely insane. It has always been about distracting from one thing and bringing light to something else that a small group of people will take into effect and make it a bigger deal, you know? I think now more than ever, it is important that drag is visible, you know?
Yes.
And because these bylaws that they're putting through in the US, well, they're not really getting putting through, but what they were trying to get put through had so many blurred lines and basically was like, if you're driving to work and you're in drag, you're going to a gig and a kid sees you, like, are you able to get arrested for that? Like, if a trans person is going to the grocery store and is seen by a child, but is not quote unquote passable, are they going to get arrested just for doing their grocery shopping? Like, it is completely insane. And it is just an attack on our community. So I think now more than ever, like I said, like, we need to be standing together. We need to be proud of who we are. We need to be bringing exactly who we are and showing people that we deserve the same respect and same kindness as we as queer people give them. Maybe not all people deserve the equal respect, but that's terrible. I'm just joking. Everybody deserves equal respect. But if you're going to read me, you know, if you're going to come for me, you're going to come for my family. Like, girl, don't expect that same kindness.
I couldn't have said it better myself. Like, I think you're so right. Drag, it in itself is a beautiful art form. It's a way of self-expression, and it's not hurting anybody. And so to be able to do what you do, I think really helps to cement that and prove that to people.
Totally. At its core, drag is about community, you know? It is about having family when you don't have family. It's about support in being your truest self. It's incredible. You know, the relationships that you make in drag communities are the strongest relationships that you'll have, because those people understand the exact emotions that you go through and that you think through in your mind about gender and about gender expression and about performance and everything. They're the only people that understand exactly what you're going through.
Yeah, and I guess like that just makes me think too that it's a space to I can hear like a big F-150 going outside your door.
Literally, that's how you know you're in Alberta. You know,
that's Berta Core.
Yeah, that's a 6-wheeler right there.
That's so funny. I grew up like close to Edmonton, so just hearing that, I'm like, yeah, that sounds like home, 100%.
Yeah, literally.
What was I gonna say? We were talking about drag and family, and then Bestie with their big truck went and ruined everything.
Yeah, just completely distracted.
I'm just so happy to hear about that community aspect and how, yes, it's a space not only to be seen, but to, I think, feel heard, in the sense that when you're going through maybe encountering your queerness for the first time, you might not feel, if you're not in a supportive environment, like what you're feeling is okay. But it sounds like this community you've surrounded yourself with and found is able to foster that space of safety for queer youth or younger people.
Absolutely. And I think that it also, like, drag helps them in all aspects, like relationships, like familial relationships. But then drag is also a source of income. And sometimes it's somebody's only source of income because they won't get hired. So it's about completely supporting your community in every sense of that way, in every sense, you know.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And, you know, I had a conversation with a friend and mentor out in Toronto, and they were actually working with drag performers and artists and kind of helping them to get grants and funding to be able to create films and do different projects. And in that moment, these artists, for the first time, they're like, we never thought of ourselves as artists in the sense of we could get funding from these organizations and et cetera. We're just in the bars and in these different spaces to ourselves. I think this is a moment that you'd probably agree, to any performer listening, you are absolutely an artist and absolutely able to pursue this in whatever way you want.
Oh, absolutely. I had a lot of like hesitation getting into the drag scene because I was
Mm-hmm.
just like worried, like, what am I doing? Like, is it going to be worth it? Like, drag is expensive. Like,
Yes.
it is a lot of work. It is taxing on your emotions, but like, it is the one thing that truly brings me joy. Like, it gives me
Oh.
all life. Like, it is my whole life. I just love creating and like bringing things from like a base state to like a finished product. What was the question?
Mm-hmm.
I feel like I'm going off topic.
No, it's good because I was just going to ask you actually, we're going in the right direction about what a LaDonna Stone show. What can you expect? What is the heart of your drag?
So at my show, what you're gonna get is always a probably a big silhouette, a big little outfit reveal. I love
Mm-hmm.
to create garments for my shows. I do a lot of sewing, and lately I've been using a lot of like using different materials that I hadn't really used before. So I got
Mm-hmm.
into like crafting foam, and that was really cool. It was like a different experience. So for me, it's all
Crafting
about
foam.
yeah, it's like EVA foam. Like
I have no idea what that is, but it sounds
so it's like
cool.
yeah, it's like cosplayers foam. So it's just like a sheet of foam and you like cut it out and you have to like glue it together. And I made this
Oh.
like really cool armor piece. Everything like came together really pretty. It was really cool. But yeah, for me it's all about like creating an outfit, having an amazing look, and making sure people are having a good time. Um
Mm-hmm.
my one show that I host in Edmonton here, bi-monthly, every 2 months, it's called Pageantinta.
Here we go.
I created this show about, it's been 3 years now. Can you believe that? 3 years out of my 4 years of
No,
drag, I've been
because
doing this show.
also, yeah, you doing 4 years of drag, and here you are, 3 years of a show. That's nuts.
It's so crazy. But yeah, it's a little drag mini pageant. So people have to come and they compete. There's like 5 competitors who compete in a performance, a runway presentation based on the theme. And then they'll
Mm-hmm.
have to do an interview with me and then a final lip sync for the win. So it is a pageant competition all in one. And basically, what I wanted to do with this show was give people opportunities to create. A lot of the
Mm-hmm.
times there's just performances and people are able to like create amazing performances, but to like create a fashionable kind of runway outfit has never been done. So I wanted to give people opportunities to do something different. And mainly because I wanted to do something different and I love creating
Right.
looks. So I was like, I want to do this and like encourage people to also get creative and like bring crazy, amazing drag to the stage.
I think seeing Pageantinta, because I had the opportunity to go in the
The
spring.
freak
What
show
was it
one.
called? Was it the freak show or the period ball? I can't remember.
Who won the one that you were at? Was it Wheels that won?
Sissy, I
Okay,
think.
yes, that was the period ball then.
Yes, the period ball.
Yes.
Because I came because Hot Wheels, if you're familiar and listening, season 1, we had Hot Wheels on the show. They are absolutely sensational. I have so much love for
Incredible.
them, right? Just an absolute superstar. But
Yeah.
they were passing their crown on to Sissy, who was the winner that I was going to say episode, season? I don't know what to call it.
I know. I don't know what to call them.
Exactly.
It feels like a season though. It's like so much work and preparation. And then that night, it like
Mhm.
it goes by so quickly, but it feels like you literally filmed a season.
Yes. And, I was just going to say that for me, coming from, Southern Alberta, again, it was very much my introduction to part of the drag scene or a glimpse of the drag scene in Edmonton. And I was so impressed. It was such a fun time.
That's what I'm saying. When you just give people opportunities to really put their mind into their drag and be challenged to do something, like you'll get amazing results. And I think that having that aspect of competition, that friendly competition, pushes people a little bit further rather than just like a regular show.
Agreed.
I think that there is a fine line though. I feel like after the drag race kind of generation came, drag became a lot more competitive. And people's
Mhm.
ideas of drag are to be the best and like to be better than this person and to serve it better than that person. But like drag at its core, like I said, is about community and coming together. So in my eyes, having a friendly competition where the competitors know each other and we get to have a chat in the back before the show, and I get to reinforce the fact that this is friendly competition. This to do something to do something out of the box and to just have a good time with it. And I think that by the end of all the preparation of that show, by the time the show comes, I think the performers are really just wanting to let loose and have fun because it's a lot of work to prepare for that show.
I mean, honestly, watching it, everybody was so polished. And I think beyond that, though, the thing that stood out to me is exactly what you're saying. I could see how much fun the performers were having. And then again, that like support of one another as family members, drag family members. I thought that was really, really beautiful to see.
Yeah, it's a really incredible show. And I just can't believe it. I'm internally grateful to be able to get a mic and be able to chat on a mic, not everybody has the opportunity to have their own show. So I'm really grateful that it's been received so well by not only drag performers in the community, but community members who come in, watch it every 2 months.
And I think it shows that you're very comfortable hosting, not just like taking care of the folks that you do little interviews with on the stage, but making sure the audience is having a great time. It just seems like this is a role that was meant for you.
Thank you. I really appreciate that. You made me cry.
I mean it. It's from the bottom of my heart. It's something that I noticed the very first time I watched you on stage there. And that's why I was so happy to have you say yes to coming onto my own little show.
Yeah, honestly, I'm so happy to be here. Literally, this has been so fun. But I'm just Italian, I just love to talk. I'm just gonna talk your ear off until it literally falls off.
Eating it up, Henny.
Yes. I got lots of voices underneath this hair. Let me tell you.
Please, I'm gagging over here. Man, you're talking about all these Italian stereotypes, whereas we're like, we have to have the levels of the mics at a certain spot because Kels is Filipina and she's loud. So
same. I'm like, catch me yelling over here.
Yeah. Oh my goodness. Well, my love, if you have perhaps any last thoughts, if you're thinking about Edmonton drag, being queer in Alberta, this very special and unique experience that we have here in Canada, are there any things that you would want a larger audience to know?
I think for me, as a cis passing white person, I have been very privileged being here in Edmonton. But the same cannot be said for a lot of our community members. There is just so much work to be done. And when you think that everything is okay, well, maybe not everything is okay. We need to make sure that we're supporting our trans communities, make sure that we're supporting our POC communities, and just being there for people. So, if you come out to a pride parade and, well, I guess there's no pride parade in Edmonton, but if you come to a pride event and it's a once a year thing for you, you know what? Maybe try to go a little deeper,
Yes.
You can do so much more to support these communities. You can donate your time, volunteer. There is so much to be done. Just involve yourself because there is a world that you don't even know. You haven't even scratched the surface, darling.
It's true.
I just think just get involved, be a part of the community. We're all there for each other. And what you'll find is far more valuable than any material objects.
I love that you said that, especially that piece about allyship, because I think a lot of people, they come to the Pride Parade, whether it's in Calgary, but allyship needs to be a constant. It needs to be showing up and speaking up and using the privilege that you have to support those who maybe have less. And I think when we again think about our previous conversation about Pride, I would love to see a Pride Parade again in Edmonton, but as another racialized person, I truly feel that if these were the concerns raised by members of my community or other marginalized folks, the ball is in their court, in your city, for when they say the work has been done or the healing is underway, that's when we can move forward.
Totally. I completely agree with you.
Well, I gotta say, LaDonna, it has been so sensational to chat with you, and I'm feeling so inspired to slay the rest of my day after seeing this cheetah outfit. If you are listening to the podcast, you better watch it online and see this fit.
Yes, you better see all this cheetah print love, all of that.
She didn't do it not to be seen.
I am a cheetah girl, okay? You didn't know, but I'm like the 5th cheetah girl.
I knew it. I sensed it. It was in the air.
No, but I just want to thank you so much, Kels. I've had the most amazing time. I'm so honored that you wanted to have me on this podcast and just chat with me because who am I? I'm just a little bearded girl from Edmonton, Alberta.
Oh, please.
Oh, please.
Full stop.
Oh,
Full stop right there. Oh my God. I have had so much fun. And I know we're going to kiki soon. Like, I'm going to be in the city. We have to get together.
Oh, baby. If you don't let me know when you're in Edmonton next, I will be very upset.
Me too. I'd be heartbroken, actually. I can't let it happen.
Truly. I got to get you drunk on some tequila.
I love it. That's my weakness. But I guess before we go, I want to give you the opportunity to share your social media with the audience, where they can find you, where they can see you next to catch a show.
Totally. So you can find me on basically all social media platforms under the handle The LaDonna Stone, TheLadonnastone. You can catch my single, The Woman by LaDonna Stone on Spotify, Apple Music, and YouTube.
Shut up.
And you can catch me at Evolution Wonder Lounge on December 1st, 2023 for the all-new All Winners 2 Pageantinta.
Ooh, okay, maybe I have to be there for that. That sounds so much fun.
Oh my God, it's gonna be so killer. It's like all winners, Wheels is in it again. It's
Shut
gonna
up,
be
I'm there.
so good. It's gonna be so
I don't even know
good.
my
I'm so excited.
schedule.